Hello, my name is Jessica, welcome to my channel. So for today's video I thought that I would do a bit of a reflection on the Christmas season and chronic illness. I thought it would be the perfect time to do this video because everybody's taking down their Christmas decorations and finally having to accept that Christmas is over and we can't have as many mince pies as we like anymore. So this Christmas has been really different from past Christmases for me because this is the first year that I've been suffering with chronic illness. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how having a chronic illness, particularly for me, has added some difficulties into Christmas time and how we can get around those difficulties and still enjoy the season. So the first difficulty that I faced this Christmas season was uncertainty, and that uncertainty mainly revolved around the fact that I was actually an inpatient at a hospital until a week before Christmas. So I have something called functional neurological disorder, which I will do a video on to sort of explain in greater detail, but essentially I lost the use of my legs and I had to relearn how to walk, and it was quite a slow, taxing process. It's something that I'm still dealing with at the moment, still trying to build up my strength and improve my walking ability. But due to this, I was in the hospital and I had no idea really whether I would be out in time for Christmas. So because I didn't know whether I would be out in time for Christmas, I couldn't really make any solid plans. I couldn't let anybody know for sure whether I would be visiting them or not, and personally for me I found that really stressful because I am a person that likes organisation and that likes a plan and likes to know everything incredibly far in advance. So it meant that I had to be more flexible and more able to roll with the punches than I usually am. So that has been a big thing that this Christmas has taught me, is that your plans may not work, they may not be known far in advance, and you just sometimes have to get on with it. So as I said, I was incredibly lucky to be discharged from the hospital about a week before Christmas, and that then left me with the decision of whether I would be able to go and visit my parents for Christmas, whether I needed to stay in my own home, or whether I could visit my partner's family for Christmas. And this kind of leads to the second big difficulty of the Christmas season, and something that I'd never considered before, but having to assess people's house layout as part of a factor of whether I would spend Christmas with them. So a big part of this was I was still struggling a little bit with stairs, and my parents only have an upstairs bathroom, whereas in my own house and in my partner's parents' house they have an upstairs and a downstairs bathroom. So I needed to consider whether I was strong enough to be able to go up and down the stairs as many times as necessary within the day, and unfortunately I came to the realisation that it just wasn't going to be possible to have Christmas with my family. However, I did think that with an extra week or so of practice I would be able to manage the stairs by New Year's. So I came to a compromise and spent New Year's with my family rather than Christmas, and then we spent Christmas Day with my partner's family, which was wonderful. So that was a big thing that I'd never really considered before, but it was so important to really think through every decision that we were making about where we would spend Christmas, because we couldn't just pack up the car and go. We had to really consider, am I going to be able to cope with the stairs? Am I going to be able to cope with the general layout? And different things like this. So that leads quite nicely on to the next consideration, which was the actual travelling. So everybody knows that travelling is exhausting. Even if you don't have any kind of disability or chronic illness, anybody doing a long journey will feel absolutely exhausted by the end of it. It's just such a tiring thing to do. And I really had to consider whether I had enough energy to be able to make, for instance, the 7-hour journey to my parents. And also how we would travel, because I have currently a wheelchair and a Zimmer frame, so I couldn't just jump on a train and easily be able to take all of the equipment that I needed. So within our house we have multiple things such as perching stools, a Zimmer frame for upstairs and downstairs that have been provided by occupational therapists to make sure that I am able to stay in my home. And we knew that we wouldn't be able to take all of these things with us to visit family. So we had to consider how we could arrange these things in the car so that they were accessible enough that I would be able to get out of the car at service stations, but still fit in a way that we could pack things like clothes, which are fairly important when you're going to visit someone for a week. So it was a lot of juggling, a very tricky game of Tetris, and we managed it, but it just took so much more consideration than we would have needed to do if I were able-bodied. So despite all of these different considerations that we had to think about in advance, we managed to get to see both of our families over Christmas, which was absolutely wonderful. It was just so nice to be A, out of the hospital, and B, with the people that I love. So really, my expectations for this Christmas have been quite low, because I thought maybe I'll be in hospital still, maybe I won't be able to see any of my family, and despite all of my health issues, I managed to see them and have a wonderful time. So I was really happy about that. There were things that I couldn't do. For instance, my family had booked a dinner on a vintage train and I was incredibly excited for it, but due to my health I wasn't able to go, which was rubbish. I won't lie, it really sucked. But they went and they had a wonderful time, and I'm really glad that they had a wonderful time, and I can just look at the photos of them having fun and think about when I'm going to be well enough to be able to go with them. And they've said that they're going to try and do it again at some point next year, so it just gives me an extra thing to look forward to. That's how I'm trying to think about it, at least anyway. And even if there were activities that I couldn't partake in, there were some that I could. So we went to a National Trust house with my family. They were having a light up night and it was absolutely beautiful. Their gardens were full of different coloured lights and lanterns, and it just looked stunning. My family were able to push me around in my wheelchair and I felt completely included, and I almost forgot that I was unwell because I was just having a wonderful time with the people that I love most in the world. So I think that's the real conclusion that I've come to this Christmas, is that yes, chronic illness is rubbish, and yes, it can make your life so much more complicated. I had to think about things that I've never even considered before this year, like where bathrooms are and how wide corridors are, and whether my wheels of my wheelchair will get stuck in that big patch of mud down by the river and things like this. But I still had a wonderful time. I still saw people that I love, and I saw family, and I sat at the Christmas table with a silly paper crown on and I laughed at all of the terrible cracker jokes alongside everybody else. And in those moments, it really didn't matter that I wasn't feeling my best, because I was able to participate in Christmas just like everybody else, and that was really wonderful. So this has been my reflection on the Christmas season and the difficulties that come with having a chronic illness, but also the joys that you can still get out of life, even if your route is a little bit longer and windier and a little bit more tricky than other people's. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time. Thank you, bye.